less about Bitcoin. I don't know why I said anything about it. I don't personally understand the value of something that has no actual value. Okay?
Cryptocurrencies are a crock. What social benefit do they provide? They help terrorists, criminals move money around the world. They help tax evaders. They help startup companies commit fraud.
Crypto poses a variety of threats to financial stability, to investor protection, to our environment. But we also know that crypto provides a new payment option for criminals and cheats.
Hey, regulators, get up off your duffs and get in on this. We need the SEC. We need the Fed.
I look for colleagues to join with me in introducing a bill to outlaw cryptocurrency.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, I would like to welcome to the stage the Executive Director of the Bitcoin Advocacy Project, Mr. Grant McCarthy.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you all for coming out. I'm a little torn here because this conference has been so incredible, and I see you all and I can't help but smile, but I just showed you a video where we had a sitting member of Congress asking his colleagues to ban cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in the United States. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm here, in case you all don't know, to tell you that Bitcoin users are under attack. In the EU, they proposed legislation that would ban proof of work. Governments are linking Bitcoin to terrorist financing. In New York, their state legislature is considering a moratorium on Bitcoin mining right now. Politicians and big corporations are no longer laughing at us. They're using every political trick in the book to stop a global financial revolution. So, how do we stop them from winning? We fight. My name is Grant McCarthy. I'm the executive director of Bitcoin Magazine, or excuse me, I'm the director of policy and public affairs at Bitcoin Magazine and the executive director of the Bitcoin Advocacy Project, an organization dedicated to supporting and defending Bitcoin users in the United States by fighting to protect self-custody and fighting to protect proof of work. Now, BAP has been working behind the scenes for months to give Bitcoiners the tools to win the war in Washington. Along with Dennis Porter, we developed one-click tools to contact your representatives. We've had over 10,000 Bitcoiners contact their elected officials through email and phone calls, and our politicians are listening. We've created candidate scorecards so that you can know if your politicians are pro-Bitcoin or anti-Bitcoin, and you can respond accordingly. And we've not only educated lawmakers directly on Bitcoin, but we've actually written language on pro-Bitcoin legislation that is in state and national houses and senates today. Now, our ultimate goal is to build a grassroots coalition of plebs all across the country who will use their voices to fight for Bitcoin. But still, we can't do this work alone. And that brings us to one of BAP's most important functions, which is working with and financially supporting other organizations in the space. Now, we're proud to announce that we work with all of the amazing organizations on the screen here, and each of these groups is doing incredible work for Bitcoin in the US. But I want to highlight two areas where Bitcoin is currently falling behind in Washington: education and elections. Now, starting with education, many of the concerns about Bitcoin are based in misinformation, not facts. So with myths driving the conversation, it's no surprise that efforts to ban proof of work, restrict self-custody, and overregulate the network are at all-time highs. We need more high-quality information and research on Bitcoin. So that's why we're proud to announce that we've awarded our flagship Nakamoto grant to the Bitcoin Policy Institute, the world's first Bitcoin think tank aimed at delivering research on the economic, environmental, and strategic benefits of a flourishing Bitcoin industry in the United States to journalists, lawmakers, and the public. Now, this organization embodies Bitcoin, not crypto. And I'm here to tell you, BPI is arguably the most important organization in Bitcoin politics today. So please consider financially supporting this organization so that we can avoid losing the information war. Now, in the 3 months since we provided seed funding to this organization to get them off the ground, their team of fellows have been nothing short of extraordinary. They've released a first-of-its-kind white paper on national security. They have submitted statements for the record at multiple congressional hearings on Bitcoin, and they've had thoughtful, objective, and accurate Bitcoin content placed in dozens of mainstream media outlets. This is unprecedented. In case you haven't been checking out the mainstream media, most of the coverage is not that positive. BPI is changing that. Now, the other area where we can fight back is elections. Now, lawmaker education is great, don't get me wrong, but as you all know, it's really hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Sometimes it's easier just to get a new dog. All right, and that's why we've helped support the creation, development, and funding of the Financial Freedom PAC, the world's first Bitcoin super PAC that aims to elect pro-Bitcoin candidates and vote out anti-Bitcoin politicians like Brad Sherman and Elizabeth Warren who want to ban Bitcoin in the United States. Now, the Bitcoin Advocacy Project has pledged $100,000 to get the Financial Freedom PAC off the ground, and we've secured another $500,000 in verbal commitments to this organization in the last week since this organization was filed. Now, the fight for Bitcoin will be a marathon, not a sprint. Okay, and true to Bitcoin's ethos, this organization will operate with a low time preference, all right, focusing entirely on high-impact expenditures. Every dollar that is not spent will stay on Bitcoin, or in Bitcoin on the PAC's balance sheet. Whatever we do will give us more purchasing power in the future. So this is the first political organization in history whose power will scale directly with Bitcoins. Now, our goal in the coming years is to bring an orange wave about Washington, and soon enough, that orange wave is going to turn into an orange tsunami, all right? And soon that tsunami will completely envelop the United States in an orange revolution. But in order to make this a reality, all I ask is that you support these organizations I highlighted in any way you can. And that doesn't mean money, necessarily. It means if you're a pleb, reach out and see if you can volunteer. If you're a whale, see if you can support the incredible work of the Bitcoin Policy Institute and the Financial Freedom PAC. If you run a Bitcoin company, reach out to me and see how we can work together to educate lawmakers and people in DC and orange pill folks around the country. And if you don't want to get involved in any of this, that's great too. Go do something else in the community that moves the needle forward. Because that's what this is all about. I'm not here to tell you what you should do. I'm here to be a vessel for all the things that we can do politically in the United States. And if we work together, I believe that Bitcoiners can eventually become the most powerful political force, not just in the United States, but in the world. So Washington, this is your wake-up call. Bitcoin's here. Get with it or get out of the way. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Marathon News Desk, hosted by Bitcoin Magazine here at Bitcoin 2022. I am your host, Q Gahimi, host of Bitcoin Magazine Live. I am joined by my guests, Pete Rizzo, Guy Swan, and Dr. Wolf. We've just heard an incredible talk and conversation around movements towards regulation and helping politicians actually learn what the hell Bitcoin is and how they can try to help us push this technology forward. I'd love to just ask our panelists right now, where do you think regulation and Bitcoin fit in together? If they do it all. Pete, we'll start with you.
Well, look, there's a lot of activity in the United States right now. It's great to see people energized. Myself, recently, contributed to the book Bitcoin and the American Dream. You can actually find it here at the conference. It's great to see people engaged. This is another way that Bitcoiners are making themselves heard, right? We had a panel earlier this week on the infrastructure bill. We'll hear from Cynthia Lummis today about what's going on in Washington. But look, I think the best thing that people can do right now is stay involved, right? Get active, reach out to your congressperson, and raise awareness because I think the Bitcoin voter is emerging. It's clear that we have demands, and I think it remains to be seen whether the politicians can actually deliver on those demands. I think that's what's important.
You bring up an excellent point. We've seen politicians make a lot of promises across the spectrum of anything that essentially drives votes. Why now? Why should we start to believe and buy politicians and what their stance is? I'm going to ask Guy to comment on that.
Oof, why now? I'm a little bit jaded with the whole situation. I kind of think wasting too many resources in this way is a little bit playing defensive rather than aggressive. And, there's always some place for it. It's not as if it's entirely wasted work, but I have such low respect and opinion for our political apparatus that I can't imagine we're doing anything but kind of spinning on the hamster wheel, hoping that we'll get something out of it when we're building something that's truly global, censorship resistant, and frictionless in the jurisdictional way. You know, it doesn't know about borders.
And
so
can I add something there?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
you know, and we've gone from a zero, like Bitcoin when it was issued was worth nothing, right? The industry now almost $1 trillion asset. All of this has happened really despite anything that has happened in Washington, right?
Yeah.
We've seen regulation in Washington. And I would actually even counter that there is no regulation, right? There is regulation, right? We just don't like it, right? And I think that's where this activity, interest in changing it comes from. But
Dr. Wolf, we're talking a lot as three Americans here about the American perspective on this. Would love your take on just sort of what you're seeing out of Europe. We've seen a lot of conversation around the proof of work, proof of stake argument. We saw recently some conversation around a maximum amount of money being sent around over the blockchains. Would love your thoughts on sort of regulations on the European side of things right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely right, Pete. Like, it's regulated already in the United States to a large extent. And you need that to some extent to also make like investors to be like comfortable to invest in that asset. Now it's about like Lightning and like all of the layer 2, 3 and other applications, which are also more complicated. But it can go horribly wrong, like really horribly wrong. Right now, April, this month, like the European Union wants to regulate any transaction on any kind of cryptocurrency. It's not only Bitcoin. So they make no distinction between Bitcoin and all of the other stuff that's out there, which is like completely
they
negligible.
do on the proof of work mining. They actually
they want to attack that.
Yeah, they
want
draw a
to
line
attack
there.
that. But like the bigger problem is like, yes, you can try to shut that down, which is awful, right? But they also want to like AML, KYC, every single transaction. You have to give data. Like, who am I to send like $10, 10 euros to somebody else? And I have to tell them, I'm sending it to you, Q. I have to give your data as well. That is just insane. And they're saying it's against like anti-money laundering. But we know like that the big banks are doing the worst, and it's not happening.
Wolf,
on Bitcoin.
you bring up an excellent point, and it's about the data. We are having that conversation right now with big tech, having collected so much data from all of us, all of you watching at home, even if you're not in Bitcoin, if you're on Facebook, I'm sorry, but Zuck has been selling your data for years now. We are having that conversation now. We are learning the pitfalls of giving away that much data and information. And yet at the same time, we're having these KYC conversations within Bitcoin about having our data now shared in a new medium and a new capacity. Talk to us a little bit, Guy, about your thoughts. What are the mistakes being made, and what would you like to see change there?
You mean on the regulatory
KYC
side?
data sharing.
Well, just the very idea of someone demanding that they know why I want to use my money, like kind of like is the gall, the arrogance of demanding that is painful to me. But I think, and you know what's actually funny is Jack Mallers' announcement from yesterday. I think people discount how, you know, one of the best things about Lightning is that the sender has the best privacy. There's lots of different avenues where privacy isn't perfect on Lightning, but the sender has the best privacy. So the ability for me to go into a store without giving them my information, without telling them who I am, and buy something directly with Bitcoin makes Bitcoin cash, again, digital cash. And I think being able to use it is a great way to actually foster that circular economy where we're using it with each other, because I can go get groceries with it later. And I think that's going to kind of make this transitional KYC everything phase look more and more redundant and wasteful. And I hope the pressures put us on the other side of
Give
it.
me a hit of that hopium, Guy. I hope you are right, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are at the Marathon Live Desk, Marathon News Desk, hosted by Bitcoin Magazine, Bitcoin 2022, 100K by conference day. Help me convince Pete Rizzo.
Still in play?
Still in play. Help me convince Pete Rizzo. I know what I'm
baby.
doing. Smash that subscribe button over on YouTube, Rumble. Give us a Rumble. Give us a follow over there, Twitch. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We appreciate everyone who helped us get our channels back, everyone who is tuning in. Stick around. We have an incredible announcement coming up and more incredible guests joining us here on the news desk.
Call your senators.